Alright, so we need to look at something right now. Where did it go? And nobody can see this. I've got to change this scene. Kratos, how are you? Alright, so my scene that I have set up, I'm doing well. Time change here where I live. I don't know if anybody. I know the U.S. does it. I can't remember if. Nico, how are you doing? Yes, we are going to be continuing, and I did a little bit more work on it. Yeah, Nico, what changed is I'm on the other hard drive because I needed to make some changes, and I've not set up the green screen on this OBS, so it's a completely different operating system. So I'm having to move everything over, but a lot of my stuff is, I guess, in the cloud. So most of the work that I'm doing, I had to pull down a couple programs. Visual Studio, I had to pull that down, but I just copied the GitHub and moved it over. All right, so it is right now. It's 7:48 a.m. where I am. Let's see. How about you, Kratos? And I still probably didn't sleep well. I'm so used to a sound machine, and my sound machine died, and I didn't get a new one. All right. What do I want to show you all? Oh, the actor and this is what I want to show everyone. Let me copy this. So I tweaked this after we got off. How do you create environments? All right, so I don't use. I have to install the modules. 7:14 there. Okay, interesting. So you're literally. Oh, so you're half a time zone ahead of me. So you're 11 and a half hours ahead of me. So let's see. Mid Asia. Let's see. Let's see. Time. Converter. Time conversion chart. Time zones. Yeah, somebody pointed out that if the time zone, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson, if you actually were to divide the globe up into their appropriate term. Wait, how does this chart work? Oh, that's alphabetical. Time zone map. All right. So 11. Hang on, what time? This map is not good. What time is that? +6. Because right now I'm technically minus 6 Greenwich Mean Time or Zulu time or ZTU. So then plus 5.5. Right? Okay. So mid Asia. All right. Let's see. Nico got rid of some stuff. Oh, and it's 3:50 where Nico is. Hey, Peaky, how are you? So, all right, I need to show you everyone what I'm doing well. I was able to make some progress on this, and we actually got to our end result here, and we were able to track and get our gaps. Yeah, like here's a perfect example. It still really doesn't. I'm having a hard time reading because I thought we were going to need to make an array or something. But like here's Charlie Chaplin's gap from 15. We'd probably need to do this. From 15 to 20, Charlie Chaplin was inactive, and then each subsequent year there, he made a movie and then didn't make a movie. Let's go back, and then who's got another good gap? Oh, and then here, Buster Keaton was making a movie every year from 23 to 29. 8:15. Okay, yes, it's that's so you're 11 hours ahead of me. So all right, interesting. Yes, most everyone in my audience is mid Asia or far east Asia. Have one or two that might jump on in Eastern or Europe, Eastern time zone. So I'm technically, I don't live in Chicago, but I live in that time zone. I'm in that region. I'm what's called in the Central time zone. So all right. So let's go through what I was doing incorrectly. So we had our last year and this year. So we didn't change anything there. Nico's in Romania. Okay, very cool. So what my problem was is I was joining this. So we have our outer join, and what was the reason why we needed to use Piggies in Pakistan? Awesome. That is so cool. Is I was joining this on year. So I was having a problem because I needed to get the years that they were inactive. And that's the problem. That's the challenge when you use, that's the challenge with databases, is because you enter a record of something. You don't tend to enter a record of not something. So you're going to have to go out of your way to create things that don't exist. So I'll tell you a story. We, my first partner that I was partnered with, I was doing all the back end tables and I was building all these data sets for the front end. And we had been expecting and having things happen, and when it was populating a table, it was adding charges for everything that got a charge. Well, if you don't charge someone, there is no charge. Well, if you don't have a charge, that table is empty. Well, the display that we were using was going and looking for charges. So I had to create a fake table that had empty charges in it and then join that with the real table to populate zero charges. So those are the things that you do have to think about with database design. So in this is a perfect example of if Charlie Chaplin doesn't make a movie for 5 years. No, that's 6 years. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's 6 years. Charlie Chaplin didn't make a movie for 6 years. Well, he's not going to be in the movie table saying Charlie Chaplin didn't make movies for 6 years. So we need to go around this. So we're doing an increment, creating an increment of checking this year with last year. So once it shows up, so that let's go through this. How about we do, let's look at something. All right, let's do max. So we see, so I can show you what I've been doing. I think this is 28. All right. 1929. So, okay, I inserted 29. All right, so last year. So I need to change this to 29. This goes back to star. Don't need this now. And also with this incremental design, and I had to do some audit steps because I still was missing this. So, all right. So 48. So as you add an actor, that actor will stay in the table because they weren't in there this year, or technically last year, because we're going to be looking at the next year. So this is the most recent year. But if I'm going to check for next year or this year, 1929 becomes last year. So what I'm saying is I want all of the actors, and I want, were they active, because we want to collect these gaps. And you'll have to forgive me because I'm just wrapping my head around this, so I'm trying to explain it as best I can to not lose any new individuals. All right. So now 29, so we have 48. So everybody in here, everyone in here will be in the next table, and anyone new. And that's basically what we're looking for. Anyone new, and was anyone in here, did they have a movie? So we're going to join all these, and then if they're not in there, we're going to take that year because we know it's the next year, so then we're going to add one. Last year, if they don't have a year, if they're null, if they're missing, and that's why we're in all the other videos that we've looked at this, I was joining this on year, and that was inaccurate, and that's why I was getting duplicate datas. So you want to join this on actor, so then if I'm missing here, if actor's missing from this year, so it's basically do one or the other. So if I'm not in the last year's table, so if I'm new, add me, put me in there. And then if I am in there, or I'm in the last year's table, you need to include me, and you're just going to mark me as inactive. And the way the word no. Yeah. If I don't have a year, then I'm inactive. All right? And the way we're handling this is it null? Put this in there. So it's so weird. So basically, if I'm null, put in year, put in this year, and if I'm not null, put in last year plus one. All right. Let's go. So now so last year's table is 29. So now we're going to look at 30. So we're going to query this. And also, we had to add a distinct because we don't care if they made one movie or 17 movies, or we don't care if they made one or more. So I just want one row for each actor going through. So now let me highlight this because I added a bunch of stuff. And I don't want to insert yet. So now this query should return at least 48. Bingo. And now there are 57 records. So if we were to do this and then query this on nope, that wouldn't be a guarantee. So the reason why I like these things so much is you have to logically think through what's plausible. What are we really? I feel like it must be cold there since you're wearing a jacket. Well, my wife likes it's cool. It's cool this morning, but it is not cold. But the house is still cold because my wife likes the house very cold. So I am. I actually have sweatpants on. So it is. It is cooler, but it is not cold here yet. But I do have a long sleeve shirt on. It's I don't know what I'd call this. It's not a hoodie, but just like a zipper sweater, I guess is the best way I would put it. But no, it's not super cold here. All right. Let's see. But now it is cold in my house. It is cold for me. But I just turned the air up. I turned it off, but it'll take a while to warm up. And it probably won't turn on until my wife comes back home and I turn the air down to cool it off. All right, so back to this. So basically think about this. We're pulling from last year's actors, and we need to have them. And we need to know, are they active or inactive? And one thing to think about is if they have a year, that means they're active. If they don't have a year, that means that they are inactive. It's still hot. Okay, yeah. Well, it gets warm. It gets warm and then cool. It's some interesting weather where I am. All right. So now that and the reason why I love this so much is because then now all I have to do is place a insert into above here, and I will then write this. I will be incrementally adding each of these to our new table right here. And it is just so very interesting. And then we just increment. So now that we've done, oops, what do I want to do? I want to do that. All right. Now we can get rid of this. All right. So now we need to look and see what all we did. So I was trying to do these queries along with that old query. So I was trying to, we need to have this temporary table right here to be able to do what we're trying to do. And this is completely normal to go about, and you're creating something because we're incrementing, we're creating an incremental table as we move through, and you would be able to do that with some automation and backfilling. All right. Oops. Let me get my phone. I know my watch is charging, but I didn't get my phone. I placed it down. Give me a second, everyone. Why is that doing that? What am I hung up on? All right, give me a second, everyone. That is what is going on. I did that yesterday too. All right, I'm coming back. All right. All right. I guess I don't need this as close anymore. There we are. Okay. Let me go back over and check chat. Let me do one thing. Okay. All right. So now that we have a lot of records, and we have if the actor is active or not active. Now what we need to do is we need to go and create if they were active this year and last year. And I know that sounds super weird, but because we need to know if it's consecutive. So let's go over that for a second. Because I was trying to do this at the exact same time I was doing the other problem, and it just wasn't working. because the reason why is you want to group, because it wants to be, you need to know if they're active last year, if it's continuous. Because if it is, excuse me, so let me try to articulate this. Because you don't know if you need to group it together. Because if they were active, because right now we know if they're active or not active. But you need to know if last year and this year are the same status. Because if they're the same status, then you would put those 2 years together. Because what our goal is, like you saw, are they active? Yes or no? What gap? So here, just like with this, and I thought we were going to need to do this with an array. We're actually able to do this with a max and a min. A max and a min. And I'll show you that in a minute. It's actually very interesting. Because we want this right here. We had Charlie. I almost wanted to say Charlie Sheen, but yeah. Oops, that's not what I wanted to have happen. Was that the output? Because I was just thinking about it. I wonder if I did the output wrong. I need to check the Discord of the group, the other group that I'm in. Okay. Yeah, because this is the thing that has always caught me off guard, especially when I was first learning SQL. You're going to have to handle things. The problem, you're going to have to do a lot of setup work, is the way that I like to say it. There is going to be so many things that are going to go into the actual pre-work to get the work to actually happen, if that makes sense. All right. So now that we have this table that is active, and we know if they're not active, and we know if they were active or not active the previous year. So let's see. What would be a good example? Here we go. Someone with with a very large gap, kind of like Charlie Sheen or Charlie Chaplin. So they were active. They made one movie in 1920. Then they made no movies from 21 through 25. They may possibly still have made no movies. Okay, so they may have not made any more movies at all, and we would need to continue that. And the reason why is this change. So are they, what do I want to say? Because we want to have that break. So when they are different, it starts a new accumulation. And we'll cover that in a second. So here we are. So we've handled this, and we've created a CTE or a subquery. Now what we're going to do is check this out. Oh, man. Let's do this. Let me show everyone how we're going to do this. Comment that out. Comment that out. Comment that out. And we don't need anything from here down. Is that right? I think that's right. Let's try this. Let's see if I got all the comments right. Here we go. All right, so Now what we're going to do, so we have this, and I know what. I jumped. Let's get rid of this. Yeah. Because I want to show everyone this. And I still haven't wrapped my head around this, and this is why I really wanted to talk about this. What did my fail? What's failing? What's failing? Unmatched. Case win. What did I do? Oh. End as did change. So check this out, because we need this identifier, because we're going to be using that identifier in a second. I think I scrolled down too far. Yes, here we go. All right. So here we are. So now we have this, because did change true. So if it's 0 not true, we want them to group. So if you didn't change, so what I want you to think about is, if you didn't change, we're going to increment that. Now I'm going to show you something that I got to work, and I still really can't wrap my head around it. So I'm hoping that while we're discussing this, we can So see, we would accumulate this and this. Not active, not active. But this line, we would institute a change between active and not active. So we would have an event to stop accumulating the count. So let's go back. So now we wrap this up. We're counting these. So we turn that into a streak. Let's see if this works. And then we don't need the streak ID, but I'm trying to, okay, what do you need? What do you need? Mismatch. Oh. Don't need that. I got this to work, but I still don't quite get why this works. All right, so check this out. Okay, so sum. So we're summing this as streak ID, sum case win, and it's an increment. See, I was expecting it to be the number of years. So let's go to Charlie Chaplin. That gap between. So yes, I was expecting this to be, and with the way that this is working, and then check this out right here. Max is active, right? So you're going to have now using a max and min in these examples has my brain melt, but it's basically, you still need to use a max and a min if you're using max and mins on others, if that makes sense, because it's going to be a single number, because it's just what is active in this range. But you still typically use max. So now, as you're grouping these, I want the start year. So in this group of those cumulations, and you're grouping them by actor and the streak ID. Oh, that's it. That was it, because now we're compressing. If we were to do this, if I were to do this without the grouping, Oh, and I had to do this by actor because I couldn't add. Oh, I could add the year, couldn't I? Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. And that's also why I was wanting to do this. So here we go. As we go through, because the next step is to automate this. And my goodness. So technically, this is a slowly changing table because... All right, how is this a slowly changing table? Because my previous table, this would update. So, all right, I know I've got to start working with DAG here in a little bit with airflow. I keep wanting to call it Airtable because that was the stupid tracking tool that we used at the last one. We started to use AHA, and I finally got pretty good at AHA. And then that changed. And then I can't remember if Walmart and AHA got into a spat, and we weren't going to use that. So now, because technically we don't need this. And that's why I like to have the commas be at the beginning. So you're able to just drop it. All right. So we have Alfred Hitchcock. He started in 1927. He made a movie. Then he didn't do anything in 28. And then he came back and he made one more movie. Or we don't know that. We don't have that. He was acting in and had a movie come out. At least produced one movie in 1929. All right. And then this is our first observation of Anne Southern. Anne just made one movie, and Anne was just active this 1 year. But we only have information. Oh, we got rid of it. We only went up to hang on. Whoopsie, don't want to give too much information. Let me make sure this is all still all right. Right. I don't know if you all were here to hear me say this. I set up OBS incorrectly. I have this being a window and not a screen. So I can move the window around. Like, you can't even tell, but I'm moving the window around, and it's staying right here on this border of this window. So now I don't have to worry about that happening. So if I move it off screen, because I was like, no, when I first opened OBS today and looked at the scene, it was black. It was completely black. Okay, I can't not do this today. It's getting dry. It is getting cooler here, and my skin is getting very, 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 very dry. So sorry, everyone. And the sweater, the long sleeve shirt that I have on. All right, let's see. So we need to now get moving, because I really need to wrap my head around this. Because if I were to have to speak to this in an interview, could I recreate this? I feel like I could recreate this very, very well. Building the cumulative table, not so much. You guys can't even see this. So I actually have a notepad in front of this on my screen, but all you see is this back here. So coalesce and the full outer join on. That's crazy. All right. So we're grouping these by our actor year. No, our streak ID. So the streak ID would be compressing. Oh, now I get it. Or I think I get it. So as we're incrementing and we're summing these, it gets the ID. And Because if they are inactive, changing, so if they're not changing, that's it. So if they're not changing, it's not, there is no sum. And then the sum doesn't change. So then we compress these down. And then the year is over there. The year is compressed as it goes through. And it's grouped by year. Okay, so I'm I wish it were clear in my head, because I think I'm getting it, but I'm not explaining this very well. All right, so now the next step is I don't even know, so I'd have to redo this scene. Oh, man. All right, so I've got to figure out how to... Can I redo a scene while I'm streaming on OBS? Because we need to look at something in Airflow. But the only scene that you see is this right here. All right, let me check something. Let me do a Google search on something right here. Can I change an OBS scene while streaming? There we go. Let's see. How to switch screens fast. All right. Looks like I can. Video capture device. That's video. I need. Oops. Okay, that's me. Video capture device. I may go away here, so give me 1 second. Delete. Where's delete? Deactivate. I just want to delete it. Oh, wow. I can change this. Properties, default. Copy, add, filter, remove. Yes, I want to remove. All right. Window capture, application audio. Oh, wow. Display capture. Okay, I do not want that because you'll get to see too much of everything. Okay. Because I don't also want you to know, if you figure out where I'm doing, I don't want to be giving answers to homework. You'd have to go way out of your way. You'd have to go way out of your way to do this. I don't want to give homework away. I want to give constantly. Sorry, I was just reading. So type 1. So there's type 1, type 2, and type 3 of SDC. See, because then also. There we are. That's what we can do. I need to create. Let me pull up this. So now I need to create a new table with. Hang on. show create table. What was it? Where's the GitHub? Copy. Actually, that is pretty handy that you can only see that window, so I can move around and do all kinds of stuff. Okay, why did this fail? Doesn't exist. I could have sworn I created that. That was part of the... All right. Well, let's go ahead and create that. It's part of the assignment. Okay, so create table. All right. Is active, I believe, is active, start date, end date. All right. Is active, Boolean. I don't like that. Start. Did I really do start, end year? I did, didn't I? That is embarrassing. Start date, end date. Start date, end date. All right, now this has to be integer. That's not integer. There we go. There we go. All right. And then let's see. I also then need this with parquet and on end year. Yeah, let's do end year. End date. All right, so let's run this. So now I'm actually creating the table. All right. Now if we were to run this, it would show everything hunky-dory that we've created. All right. So cool. There we go. All right. So now that we have this happening, so now we're going to do insert into. So we don't need this, and this is how you comment out. Huge sections of code. So all right. So insert into this table. And then is that it, really? Right, incremental development to populate each single year worth. Okay. So now I've got to learn how to do DAGs, which I didn't know how to do this either. All right. So now where we're gonna go, actor is active, start date, end date, and I just realized we need to do I need a comma there? All right, we need to fix this. Start date, because this is very important. This took me I've spent a lot of time. So you have to align these, you have to point these, and it's kind of like a join, but it's not as well, it's just as rigid as a join. But all right, you have to point these in the right direction. And if you wanted these in a different order, and it doesn't matter, they don't have to be in the same order, they just have to have the same name, because this output, these column names are going to be this. Doesn't matter what the data is. It's, hey, I have these columns, and you know what these are because you named them, right? Well, then up here, you have to do this and just like this. So now we're going to check. Now we're going to run this and see if it works. And it failed, so cool. We're used to that. And a start end can't be resolved. All right. Let's see. What? Oh. There we go. And this is also what is very powerful about SQL. You do not have to have the group by in the results table. Just using the reference table. So I'm saying group this by the streak ID, but I'm not actually having to call it. I thought this is an important thing about SQL. You do not actually have to have it in the output. You don't need it. All right. Let's make sure that, okay, let's run this now. Sorry, I thought I saw a car pull up. And let's roll this up. Results will be here soon, and this failed too. All right, so let's see. Insert column name doesn't exist in your target table actor. All right, so let's come down here. These are your friends. All right, so let's run this. What'd I name it? Oh, I left out actor. Yep, there it is. So, all right, let me show you this. This is also, this is what was crazy. You can actually comment out comments. So now, I need to bring in actor, var, char, and then this. But now I also then need to do drop, table. I could do alter, blah, 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 blah. So drop. I think you can also do description or details. All right, now let's rerun this. I think you can run those both at the same time, but I think I can't remember if I'm needing colon or not to accomplish this. And done. All right. Cut, paste. All right, so that's back being commented out. We're good, we're good, we're good. Now let's run this. Let's do, maybe target that there. Inquiry mismatched, varchar, boolean, integer, integer. Okay. Varchar, integer, integer, integer. Boolean, 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 boolean. Huh? Oh, okay. I need to change this to All right. Need to change this to an integer. Comment. All right. Drop table. Okay, run. What? Oh, oops. Too much. There we go. Awesome. Uncomment. Uncomment. Now let's run this again. And these are the things you're going to deal with. These are these little bitty things you're going to do all the time. So now we just entered into our slowly changing dimensional table. 113 rows. Sorry, I want to make sure my wife got to work. Okay. Okay, so we've input these. So now let's go ahead and take a peek and see. Select star from let's just run that. All right, so cool. So now we actually have all of these. We have a slowly changing dimensional table. And now you could begin to use this to do whatever you wanted to. But all of those steps, so I want you to think about all the steps that we had to go through to create this table. Because the point of that is you're like, why couldn't you just, why do we need to keep this table available? What happens if production studios, how about you have, here's a perfect example. How about instead of actors, you have users? And you need to know everything about a user, and you have people in your company. And then inside that company, you have multiple organizations tracking user usage. So I want you to think about this. After we get this built, how much data did we have to parse and go through and create and do this and change? Because right now, this didn't exist. This is not active from 1928. What happens if just a regular data analyst or a business partner who is not very, very good at SQL, they would struggle with this and spend so much time. Now, that's the important thing, time. They would waste their time creating this. They're not SQL people, they're business people. They're supposed to be going out and building the business, growing the business. We're there to save time and answer questions and fill in these gaps. This would take us a couple hours to do, where the business person would go down a rabbit hole not doing business, wasting their time, where they could just go, okay, hey, here's this list of here's this entire list of users that haven't been active in 3 years. And then they can go and take that information, go into a business meeting, have some brainstorming ideas, start to look and see, hey, wait a minute. All these people in this part of the state, country, whatever, have been inactive for 3 years. Does anybody have any idea why? And then that spurs, but all this, and then this table, and here's the real kicker of the time of the queries really comes into play. Not only just the human time, which is extremely valuable, but the cost to build this table or query this to create this table. What happens if this table gets created 100 times a week? Well, that's going to cost money to completely recreate this table 100 times. But if we've created a pipeline that is going to automate and automatically update this every year, or whatever the standard is, if it's a user, if you want to see this done every day, then you begin to see the value of this, where then those subqueries would not be run ever again. We would, instead of it running 100 times a week, so 100 times a week, that'd be 5,000 times a year. It now gets run one time. So that is where these benefits are. Hey, what are the type of queries that are constantly being rerun? Constantly being rerun. Those are the potential for data pipelines. And like, hey, we keep recreating this query. Let's just make a permanent table that then we can refer to and save compute time. And it may also be an ugly query that people slightly have. This is what's very dangerous in business, is what happens if everybody is it's slightly off just a little bit. It's just a little bit different every single time. So you're having inconsistencies cost companies a lot of money, because intercompany usage or even inter-department usage, but where it gets really dangerous is when that grows and it goes out into the wild, and users, customers, begin to use different definitions because your team and your company and your organization uses different definitions. Because then nobody will know what you're talking about. And then when you're dealing with decisions and data, think about those as the same thing. Decisions and data. I mean, they have to have the same definition, or it gets really muddy really, really fast. All right. So I know I've gone over a lot today. Let's see. How long have we been on? Probably just about an hour. Hour and 59 minutes. Is there anything anybody wants to ask about data, or even I know we haven't done Python in a long time, and I think that's also why I'm starting to really kind of annoy the audience. We haven't done any Python, but I appreciate everyone being patient with me. Excuse me, stiff, because I've got to. Well, I guess if I get a new job, I don't even know what would happen to, well, I know the streaming would stop. I don't know how. I don't know what would happen with videos, but I don't know. Don't know until it happens, right? All right. So now we've written to this table, order by active. Yeah, that was active. Is active, that's why. Is active. And start date. Let's run this. See if we can get back to our normal use. And then you could. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, I did by is active. I meant actor. But that's an interesting query. Huh. Who had the longest? See, and then you can also, I mean, you could just start to just this type of information of activity and inactivity, you just begin to just go bananas of, well, wait a sec, and then you just go, wait a sec. I call it rock flipping. You turn over a rock, because when I first started my last job, and it was stress related, because I was like, I just figured out how to do this query and you want another one? Well, it dawned on me what I was doing. I was answering questions that were then also creating more questions. So I referred to it as rock flipping. So you flip over a big rock, and then there's all these other little rocks. You're like, oh, look at all these little rocks under here, or smaller rocks. Let's flip over this rock. Well, then you just go down a layer. And then when you realize what your job is, it's not to solve this problem. It's to continuously answer questions. And when you begin to do that and you become curious and you put yourself in your business partner's situation, you're like, what do they really, and then you become very good at asking questions. What do they really, because they're going to start with this big question and they don't know where they're going. They're like, this is a problem. This is a problem, but I don't know what the real it's called a basis of root cause analysis. And if you follow the data, the information, you end up going and you ask better questions once you flip over a bigger rock or the next big rock. Pareto effect. It's like, hey, this one thing is costing us so much money. All right. Who is causing this problem that's causing us so much money? And then you split that rock open. You're like, oh, hey, here's a whole bunch of answers. All right. What does this mean? I don't know. Let's see. So you start to mess with this and you start to turn it around. You're like, well, wait a second. Everybody who does this thing also has this problem. Oh, wait a second. So I'll tell you a story. So we had this problem. It was labels. It was readable. The barcode wasn't being able to be read. So what we did is we started with, we found out that because we didn't know what was causing the biggest problem. The biggest problem was barcodes being read. All right. Then we realized, well, wait a second. The barcodes weren't on two sides. Well, not only was it not on two sides, the barcode was fading. So it was on both sides, but it wasn't being able to be fed. So what was very interesting is this box vendor so we thought it was these certain suppliers, but this is where you follow actual data. It was this one supplier of boxes, and they weren't at the end of the runs of the boxes that they were creating for multiple people. So it was our vendors, our suppliers, box vendor. Because, you only have a certain number of box people in the United States. So everybody gets their boxes from the same people. So what was happening is at the end of a run, the ink was running out. So we tracked it back. We did root cause analysis. And it wasn't all the time. It was only a certain time frame. But then we started to track and see when were those items being made and when it was, and then the boxes being made, and it was towards the end of a run on that line, and the box vendor was allowing the ink to run too dry and not change it out earlier. So what we did is we were able to collect this, tell this story, and deep dive down into and share this with our vendors. And since we had multiple vendors who used the same box company, and I was partnered with a business partner that she was brilliant, and she goes, well, wait a minute, I bet they're all using the same box supplier. So she reached out, made a few calls, made a few inquiries, and they were. And then she goes, all right, so let's start looking at it. And it was close to where she was in Bentonville. And she and somebody else on the packaging team, they drove over there and watched. And lo and behold, it was towards the end of that time span. And the boxes with the barcodes were just getting lighter and lighter and lighter. And yep. It was really interesting. And then the barcodes were not doing what they were supposed to. So we were able to then, and that one little change, then they changed an operating procedure, and then they stopped getting fines. And then, I just noticed on this window, it's got a yellow frame around it for where it is. That's so cool. All right. So that was story time there. Anybody have any questions? I know we've had some folks jump in and leave. Any questions? We'll kind of open the floor to anything we want to kind of talk about right now, if there's anything. Python question, SQL question. I'll try to answer any questions about database design. I'm getting that way. Well, designing the table, but which technique to use to design the table? Not the software. Well, yeah. I mean the SQL implementation of that. So, any questions that anyone has? Because we may go. Because I was trying to find out if we could lag on the same column, but that was a poor technique. And over engineering. It was an over engineering problem. So we could sum and then do the group by. And then do yeah. That's so I love group buys with max and min. All right. May have a short day today. I guess we're coming up on 9 o'clock my time. And also everyone, do me a favor. If you've not hit the like button, go ahead and do that for me. I'd really appreciate that. And because I almost went and wanted to change the new scene. Hang on. I don't know how I got. You want to look at OOP in your scripts? I do not have Anaconda set up on here. But all right, let's talk about what aspect of OOP are you struggling with? How about we get very, very specific? Because writing object-oriented programming is more the wall that you're having us struggle with you're actually typing about how to implement it, or the actual conceptualization of using OOP, because there's a time and place for it, and using it at the right time. I know, but I don't have. I'm sorry. So Pentegra, you don't know. Okay, so you just joined. I don't have any. So I've changed operating systems on. I have two hard drives and two operating systems on my system right now. So I don't have any of my old scripts on this right now. So I don't have any scripts to pull up. They are on the other hard drive that is running, and I don't want to drop this stream. So I guess what I can't pull up anything. I just use OOP to make your script more organized. Correct, but I guess what's your question? Because I mean it has its time and its place to use. So what is an example of you need help with, of when to use it? Because I don't think I've seen you here, Pantagris. So thank you very much for joining the stream. Because again, basically, I mean, when you need to replicate objects just to practice, not a question, just to practice. In my world, I don't use OOP very much. Everything that I do is functional. So I mean, if you need to practice, there's plenty of leak code. And I guess that's one thing that I'm trying to help the community realize is is what we're doing effective? Because, and that's actually the thing that I'm challenging myself to right now, is everything that I'm doing, is it affecting and helping me drive towards getting a job? I mean, if you need to practice, I don't need to practice OOP. So that's typically not what I'm going to be doing here. So everything that I'm doing is I'm trying to share in my journey to especially encourage new individuals to programming, and especially me trying to be live while I'm doing this, so a new person can see how stressful it is, and it's completely normal. I mean, I had no idea, didn't even know about these different types of table designs, and having to live code and do them and learn. I've been extremely uncomfortable for the past, 4 weeks, because I'm learning all of these new skills, and I'm trying to articulate it, because everybody, especially as someone who's seasoned, and they jump in and they're like, oh, I remember how hard it was. Well, yeah, that does no one any good. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to live share, hey, this is freaking me out right now. I don't know a data engineer role. So I spent 3 years as a data analyst, and that was my job title. And I didn't really realize that I was really doing more of the data engineering role. So I do have gaps, but I mean, they're minuscule. I need to become proficient with Snowflake, which is just SQL. But no, I'm very good with Python. I'm very good with SQL. And the upskilling that I've done over the past 3-4 weeks is been very uncomfortable, and that's why I'm sharing this with everyone, is because I don't want to sit here and preach and be like, you need to do things that are make you. I don't want to make this video 3 years from now after I've learned these and am not uncomfortable anymore. I want everyone who is struggling to see me struggle and think that I just learned it and I didn't have any issues. Back when I was at the building and everybody saw how good I was at running shifts and running operations, I said, guys, you're just showing up. You're showing up 20 years after I made all the biggest screw ups that you can possibly imagine. No worries. No, we're all here to improve and get more comfortable. Made a whole video about imposter syndrome, and I don't know if we as a society we want to label things. It's like, what? I don't think imposter syndrome is the proper term. I just because it's not an imposter. It's just true anxiety of I'm not comfortable yet. I'm not comfortable yet doing this. So, because you just did it, right? It just seems, it's like when I remember the first time I built a number triangle, that was one that I kind of came up with. And it was like, how did I do that? It's like, I'm not smart enough to have just written this. I appreciate it. What do you do? Because I haven't seen you around. So how long have you been programming? But I'm glad you came by. So what was I talking about? I was talking about, I just wrapped my head around type 2 SCD, and then I know I need how about web scraping? That's very cool. You do web scraping? Oh, very, very cool. In Python? Yes. What do you use? Do you use Beautiful Soup, or do you use is there something better these days? because I've used that a few times in a few of the videos that I've done. But typically everybody has an API now that I know I've interacted with. But I do like Beautiful Soup. But I'd be curious if there is a better technology out there. Talking about type 3. I think there's a insert row. So there are a bunch of scripts that I need to convert to OOP to use in my domain. Beautiful Soup and Scrapey. Okay, all right. You need to convert that. Really? I guess. Okay, I would see OOP for that because you would need to. Because you would have a bunch of different objects. Go and get this. Okay, that would actually be a very interesting. Do you have a YouTube channel? Because I would. Because I get asked OOP questions a lot, so I would be willing to help you get viewers. If you would make a video, I would post a link to it or a live session. Because so I can completely see that. Hey, here's my page object. And I need to then iterate through this list of. Okay. Yeah, to be able to call those objects. Yeah, exactly. I can completely see that being more efficient with OOP. Right. So let's actually talk about that. So this is a perfect idea of a blur between functional programming and OOP, where you're iterating through objects. But if you were just to convert them all to an object, OOP, object-oriented programming, you would then be able to, you could technically do those all in parallel. Yep. No. I completely agree. But again, that is use case. Don't try to, because I have plenty of people join and they want to do something, and but you have to have bad ideas to then get good ideas. So I try to be very, very, very sympathetic to a bad idea. Because I had a mentor years ago, and actually that mentor got me my last job. It was nobody wanted to say anything in the room. He knew I would say something. But even if it was a bad idea, it got the ball rolling. So I got rid of all my bad ideas and then started to make better ideas. And then the room took those better ideas, and then we actually formulated a process out of it. So typically I have somebody who's like, ooh, let's make this thing. Well, why do we need to make this thing? What is this need? Now, I mean, if this thing is, I've got to make this. Cool, because then you're going to have this push. But what I'm trying to get our audience in our community, building something that solves a problem. And because the bigger the problem, the bigger the value. The bigger the value, the more interested someone else is going to be in that individual or that problem, and then they'll be intrigued to talk to them. And that's what I want to try to help and do. So, all right, let's see. That was a good talk. So, let's see. Why? Oh, I can't do that in OBS. That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see. What happens when I click that? All right. How That's not what I wanted to do. Okay. No, I absolutely love that. All right. Anything else? I can open the floor up for a few more questions, and then I need to wrap up. Coming up on, what is that? That light right there, driving me nuts, but okay. I need to work on the green screen today and get everything back installed, move everything over. Because if I get OBS, the green screen loaded up on this operating system and get Anaconda moved over here, I think I'll basically be done with my other. So I load up. Sorry, I'm not so good with the hard drive side, so I'm trying to figure out. So I load up all my programs on this. So yeah, what I have, the system that I have now, the operating system that I'm on right now, I have the old hard drive, which I don't think I can access, but I have a 1 terabyte hard drive for applications, and then I have 4 terabyte hard drive for storage. So my son has set me up quite a bit. I have a AMD, 550, and I have 32 gigs of memory in this. That was the motherboard. I think I have an AMD. No, the 550 is the board. Yeah, my son handmade this computer, and it is fast. So I think right now I'm probably using, I think I'm about 20% of memory, and I have so much stuff open right now. It's crazy. All right. Any questions so far right now? And we'll probably wrap up because I'm at 1 hour and 23 minutes. Anything that we want to discuss, ask? Let's see, what does that look like? I still have a light coming through here. Where? Oh, gee whiz. Okay. 1 hour and 24. Oh, let me go back to chat. Chat. We have a couple folks still hanging out here. Anything anybody wants to ask? I have a few more minutes, and then I'll run. Because I have tons to do today. I got to get this homework done, work on the DAG. Once I get the DAG set up and I can actually run and make sure that I'm not going to be sharing any proprietary information, I will be more than happy to share this because I want everybody to learn. And if I can help you answer any questions and upskill, I'd be more than happy to, because it's going to make me better at answering these type of questions and also building these type of things. Boris, look at that. That is so cool. Then 26 and 27. This is so cool. And this small little query creating all of this value and all this information, because then somebody could query all the. So if you think about this for just a second, this right here. So if we were to group this by, and then you could do, just think about everything that you could do from here, and this table's already created. Instead of actors, how would we think about this as users? What gap? I mean, you could just take this, and this is a table that, and I'm beginning to really understand the value of this table. It has minuscule, it's a lot of information without being too much information. And you could then dissect this. How many gaps did they have? What were those gaps? How long were those gaps? and then you could begin to infer why was there a gap, and then you can begin to create actionable information. Okay, so when they do, okay, what were they doing? And then you go and see, and then pull from a geotable. All right, so they were inactive at this time, this instance right here. Okay, what were they doing at that instance? Okay, well, they travel to some other area that's not their home region, and then they're inactive. Oh, wait a second. So we need to be pushing an alert when they go out of their area. Hey, you may want to go and do this, or this. And those things just become, so this is bare bones information, but also containing a great deal of information at the same time. All right. I'm not seeing any questions come in, and I think everyone is starting to drop out. So let's see. There we go. All right. Any questions? I'll wait for just another minute or two, and then I'll begin to wrap up because we're coming up on an hour and a half. All right. So I think that's pretty fair. I don't know who all is here. I think Nico and Kratos is probably dropped. Peaky may still be here. So thank you everyone for coming to join. So I'm going to be working on the airflow today, and then once I get that working, because I have Visual Studio, and I cloned the. I think everyone is going to like this quite a bit, because I need to learn about Kafka. I need to learn about airflow. I need to get my Snowflake, because Snowflake, oh my God, everybody uses Snowflake, but I mean, it's just another project, but it's just SQL, but the amount of things you can do with Snowflake. So Kafka, I need to learn and figure out what Kafka is. I'm not quite sure. And then be able to then make sure that my DAG is working, and then go from there. So all right, I don't see any questions, so we're probably going to wrap up here in just a second. But thank you everyone for coming to join us today. As always, it is very, very insightful for me, and I hope because I'm trying to figure out these things as I'm going through them. So everyone being supportive and letting me ramble on is very much appreciated. Here are the DAGs. Check airflow connection. There's so much stuff. This is so impressive. All right. Well, then if that is everything, I will see and talk to everyone tomorrow, and I hope everyone has a good rest of their night, because most everyone is on the other side of the globe. And I will talk to everyone tomorrow. Bye, everyone.